Human population and environment. These two terms are interrelated with each other. We can see from the given image that how human population plays a very important role, putting a very important impact on the environment, especially on all the available resources. If human population is more, the load on available resources will be more. Vice versa, if human population is less, the load on the human population will be less. Therefore, it is very important to understand this both the terms, and it is also very important to understand the interrelation between these two terms, how these terms are interrelated with each other. So, what is population? Population is all the inhabitants of a particular town, area, or country. Population is all of the inhabitants of a particular town, area, or country. The human population is the total number of living humans on Earth. The human population is the total number of living humans on Earth. Environment means the sum total of all surroundings of a living organism, including natural forces and other living things, which provide conditions for development and growth as well as of danger and damage. So this graph is presented by World Resources Institute WRI, and it presents the world population growth. From this table we can just have the detail or projection for year 2050 for the first 10 largest country. So we can see from this table that on the first number is India, that is 1628 million population will be population is expected or projected by year 2050. On second comes China, that is 1369 millions. US, that is 404 millions. Indonesia 312 millions. Nigeria 304 millions. Pakistan 285. Brazil 244. Bangladesh 211. Ethiopia 188 million, and on the 10th number is Congo, that is 182 millions. So this is the projection for 10 different countries, that what will be the projected population by year 2050. This diagram shows the human population density. We can see the dark brown color represents much high density, and the light yellow color represents very less density. So population growth rate. Human population growth rate is measured as annual average growth rate that can be calculated in percentage, that is P2 minus P1 divided by P1 into N into 100, where P1 is population size in previous census, P2 is population size in present census, number of years between two census. So by this formula we can calculate, we can have a projection that how much population is going to be increased, or what will be the average annual growth rate in percentage of any country. Population growth and its variation. The term population has originated from a Latin word populus, meaning people. In ecology, a population may be defined as a group of organisms of the same species occupying a particular space. Increase in production per capita of agricultural produce at a global level recorded during 1980s. So we can see from this image the crowded railway station. In our entire life, we might have faced such kind of situation. Presently, if we nowadays if we go to any public place, either it is school, hospital, bank, any office, we can easily see that there is huge crowd and lining. We have to wait for our we have to wait in the queue for our number to come. So why there is need of waiting in queue? Because more number of people will be standing in front of you, before you, in the line, in the queue. So you see, whenever there is uh, say like more population is there, the available resources are divided in more of the numbers, the users are more. So when users are more, definitely the demand is going to be less. Demand is going to be high. So once several problems or negative issues are raised due to more number of people who are in demand of such facilities. So only 15% of the world's population in the developed world is earning 79% of the income. So this is very amazing to know that only 15% of the world's population in the developed country is earning 79% of the income. Current development strategies that essentially led to short-term gains have led to a breakdown of our Earth's ability to replenish the resources on which we depend. In some countries, food shortages has become a permanent feature. Two of every three children in South Africa are underweight. In some regions, famines due to drought have become more frequent. Present development strategies have not been able to successfully address these problems related to hunger and especially malnutrition. What are the causes of population growth? Lack of birth control. This is the key component of the population growth. Studies shows that nearly two-thirds of the women are poorly educated about their reproductive capabilities. This caused women to breed more children than they are needed in their country or region. Religious belief. There are a variety of belief among different religions related to childbirth. There are a variety of belief among different religions related to childbirth. Financial incentives in certain countries with low population rate, there are incentives to produce more children. In the US, tax deduction were put in place to assist parents with the day-to-day raising of child. So similar financial assistance are being provided in several countries for raising child. We see that still people are unaware about several schemes of the government. Several religious beliefs are there which leads towards population growth. Fertility treatment facilities. Modern medical science is capable to stimulate the reproductive system in much better way. Drawback is that there are chances of increase in birth rate. So if we see from population point of view, this fertility treatment or medical facilities have also contributed in population growth. Mortality rate, according to WHO, the mortality rate in many developed countries is 1 in 10. Mortality rate is very less, that is 1 in 10. Industrial revolution in 19th century due to scientific innovation and advancement have decreased the death rate and increased the average lifespan of the people. So this is also somehow contributing towards population growth. Next is food production. So agricultural innovations have enabled farmers in dramatically increase in food production. For example, between 1950 to 1984, the amount of grain harvested worldwide in increased from 631 million tons to 1.65 billion tons. So we can see that how availability of food or growth in productivity, this has somehow led towards population growth. Public health, by 1990, technological advancement facilitating cleaner cities, efficient sewage system, nutritional knowledge and adequate home have lowered the death rate. Diseases, scientific discoveries and technological advancements that help prevent infections, cure illness, and enable people to survive disease have significantly promoted pollution growth. Vaccines have reached a rate of infections such as polio, smallpox, influenza, and rubella. Education level, the level of education among male and female may have an influence on the number of children also. Migration, movement of individual into or out of place country, that is called migration. So we know that migration is occurring now also at a very rapid state. The reason is people from rural area they have to migrate to cities. The reason is that in their own local area there are shortage of employment. So that is why migration is also a lead player in terms of population growth. So what are the effects of population growth? Overpopulation, impact on food and water, food production and distribution, energy consumption and waste, pollutions, deforestation, global warming, climate change, depletion of natural resources. Family welfare program, So, family welfare program may be one option to minimize population. These programs may consist of basic training of health workers, multi-purpose, village health guide scheme, rural health training scheme or center, and family welfare training and center resource center Mumbai. Population explosion as enormous growth of human beings is called as population explosion. Differentiate deforestation and exploitation natural resource. It is coming to present time. It may lead to depletion of resources, severe competition for food and space, increase in biological stress, pain and socio-economical problems, rapid pollution of environment, shortage of food, shelter and employment. Threats to biodiversity. Biodiversity at global, national and local levels. It has been observed that threats of biodiversity is at every level, even it is at global, national, local or regional levels. So what are the major threats to biodiversity? First is habitat destruction. So important to protect habitat in order to protect biodiversity within. So habitat destructions can be seen everywhere, either it is at a global level, national level to the local levels as well as regional levels. So we see that several human activities are there which lead towards destruction of natural habitat, and thus it leads towards several negative activities towards natural resources. Huge pressure from the world's rapidly increasing population. So rapid growth of population is a major threat or a major role player in destruction of natural habitat. Second is global climate change. So change in a biotic elements of ecosystem is leading to biotic change. Habitat fragmentation, that is from human activities, and it reduces ability of habitat to support species. Pollution, so introduction of pollutants such as nutrient overloading with nitrate fertilizer as well as more immediately harmful chemicals. Combinedly, these are major lead players in increase in pollution. Overexploitation, This includes the illegal wildlife trade as well as overfishing, logging of tropical hardwoods, etc. Introduction of alien species introduced by humans to regions where there are no natural predators. Diseases, reduction in habitat causing high population density encourages spread of several diseases. So we see that there are several threats to biodiversity, and the major or most important role player is increase in population. Once there is increase in population, there will be huge demand for several things like food, shelter, and many other things. So whenever there is demand of food, high demand of food, definitely large area will be a bigger size of area will be cultivated. There will be a pressure on water resource. There will be pressure on land resource. Therefore, it is said that rapid growth in population is a major role player in habitat destruction, thus leading towards climate change, global warming, sea level rise, unpredictable weather extremes, natural calamities, frequently occurring natural calamities. Somehow, these all things are either directly or indirectly related to population growth. Additionally, global climate change due to human activities as well as natural activities, habitat fragmentation, especially due to human activities, pollution, this is also due to human activities and population growth, overexploitation of resources. This is the very important part, or this is very important, which also plays major role in threats to biodiversity is overexploitation of resources. This includes the illegal wildlife trade as well as overfishing, logging, overexploitation of land resource, overexploitation of water resource, surface as well as groundwater resources. Then next one is alien species. So alien species are they like such crops or such varieties or such breeds which are not suitable for the given reason. But still, for the sake of earning money, people are cultivating or rearing that species which has been bought from other place. Thus, it is creating an extra load. Thus, it is creating habitat fragmentation, and thus it will lead towards disease or spread of disease due to reduction in habitat, high population density of one species will lead towards spread of disease. So these all are the factors which are major role players and major role players which are threatening the biodiversity, which are destructing the biodiversity, which are depleting the biodiversity at all levels, either it is national, local, global, at each and every level, these activities are occurring. The first one is habitat loss. So habitat loss can be described when an animal loses their home. Every animal in the animal kingdom has an important role in their animal community, and without their habitat, they no longer have role. Habitat destruction is currently ranked as the primary cause of species extinction worldwide. So we know that every animal has its own home, every animal has its own kingdom, and if we remove their kingdom or if we disrupt their kingdom, those animals have to move from their place. And this is the best example of habitat loss. Several development works are ongoing. In if we take case of India, nowadays several highways are being constructed. World class highways are being constructed. That is a good thing in terms of development, human development, economic development. But on what cost? If we try to analyze, most of the highways are passing through forest area, open area. Thus, by construction of such kind of highways, will block the passage of animals. Also, it will disrupt the animal kingdom. So, it will finally contribute towards habitat loss. When we discuss about food web and food chain, we see that several animals, insects, or several species are either directly or indirectly related to each other, starting from detrivorous insects up to tiger, lion, and elephant, including human beings, including aquatic animals. All are interlinked with each other, and each and every living component rely on other component for food. Either they are herbivorous, omnivorous, or carnivorous. Thus, everything is in balance. Grass or vegetation grow on the ground surface that is consumed by herbivorous animals. Herbivorous animals are consumed by human beings as well as other bigger animals. So you can see there is a chain interlinked with each other that maintains the balance of species and variety. If one component is removed, the second component will be overpopulated, and once there is overpopulation of a single community, the food demand will increase, water demand will increase, and several other things will change. That is why it is said that habitat loss should be avoided or minimized. Therefore, in modern world, in European countries, whenever there is highway construction or railway track construction from the forest area, there is a provision to provide a passage for the animals to cross and travel from one side to another side. I'm not confirmed whether this type of facilities are being considered or planned in India while constructing large highways and railway tracks. So, what are the major reasons of habitat loss by humans? First is agriculture and farming, harvesting natural resources for personal use, for industrial and urbanization development. Also, there are few natural causes of habitat loss, that is habitat destruction through natural processes such as volcanism, fire, and climate change. One study shows that fragmentation of tropical rainforest in Europe 3,000 million years ago led to a great loss of diversity. Yet, there are some relevant solutions to protecting remaining intact section of natural habitat, reduce human population and expansion of urbanization and industries, educating the public about the importance of natural habitat and biodiversity. Solution to habitat loss can include planting of trees, planting home gardens, so as to reduce need for men to need large land for agricultural farms, which leads to habitat loss. So there are several relevant solutions to avoid or to minimize the habitat loss. A very important one, what I see, is educating the people, educating the citizen of their country. Still, there are a lot of people who don't have any idea about environment, don't have any idea about habitat loss, biodiversity, ecosystem, natural resources, status of all the available natural resources. So, therefore, educating people and creating awareness among the people is the utmost need of the time. There should be proper provisions to educate each and every citizen of the country to make aware. Different programs should be started to awareness program should be started to make people aware, to educate the people, especially from the rural area, to let them know the importance of natural habitat and biodiversity. Still, government is focused on such kind of activities and several programs are ongoing. Still, it will take few more years to understand the importance of nature and natural components. One of the major step what I observe which has been initiated by government that environmental studies and disaster management is a program which has been introduced few years back as an compulsory course which has to be taken by all the student of all streams or all field, either it is field of agriculture, medicine, doctorate, engineering, arts, science. So all of the students of these different streams have to undergo this course that is environmental studies and disaster management. So this will enable the public or students to understand the basic principles of environmental science, basic concepts of environmental science, basic concept of several activities which are within a nature, within a biodiversity, within an ecosystem. So next is poaching. What is poaching? So poaching is the hunting and harvesting of certain animals and plants for economical benefits. They are done through hunting, harvesting, fishing, or trapping. When we talk about history of poaching, it started in the Stone Age, followed by the tribal natives. Late Middle Ages poaching became punishable offense in several countries. But still, it can be observed that poaching is currently ongoing on a mass scale for different crops and for different animals. Why poaching is done? Poaching is done for large profits gained by the illegal sale or trade of animal parts, meat, and pelts. Exists because there is a demand for these products caused by a lack of education or disregard for the law amongst the buyers. Many cultures believe that certain animal parts have medicinal value. It is very amazing to know that poaching is not just only limited to animals, but plants are also affected by poaching. There is a plant called as ginseng. The root of a ginseng plant is loved for its health benefit. The roots of the ginseng plant is loved for its health benefits. It may help diabetics control blood sugar level, and it is also thought to aid in relieving cramps, shortening the common cold, and even improving the mood or controlling the mood swing. The Great Smoky Mountain National Park used to be home to large amount of ginseng. Unfortunately, with a value of about $800 per pound, ginseng poaching has become rampant in this area. Several other examples of poaching can be seen in entire country, which is somehow affecting or impacting the natural components, or say like ecosystem or biodiversity. Venus flytraps. The Venus flytrap is only found in a 74 square mile area around Wilmington, North Carolina. So this type of trap is only found in 74 square mile area around Wilmington, North Carolina. Cycads. Unlike ginseng, the trees aren't used as medicine or food. Instead, the market for these trees is primarily collectors. So now the question is, how does poaching affect the environment? Poaching or illegal hunting causes animals endangered or being extinct. If more animals become extinct, there, there is a disruption in the food chain, and that will cause major problem in our ecosystem, resulting eventually in new adaptations of animals and species beyond human control. Poaching results in animals being hunted too soon for them to have time to reproduce and repopulate. So we see that how This poaching activity is severely affecting our environment. As I said that everything is interrelated to each other in food chain and food web. If any single component from the food web or food chain is removed, there will be overpopulation of the second component or remaining component. Thus, it will create severe problems in our ecosystem. Human wildlife conflict. What is human and wildlife conflict? It refers to the interaction between wild animals and people and the resultant negative impact on people or their resources or wild animals or their habitat. It occurs when growing human population overlap with established wildlife territory, creating reduction of resources or life to some people or wild animals. Increase in man-wildlife conflict is due to resource limitation like space, food, and shelter. In India, wild elephants kill far more people than tiger, leopard, or lion. Damage to agricultural crops and property, killing of livestock and human beings are some of the worst form of man-animal conflict. Farmers sometimes poison and shoot wild animals as they damage their crops, but this can be prevented by taking certain measures. What are the outcomes of conflict? So, human wildlife conflict occurs with various negative results. The major outcomes of human wildlife conflict are injury and loss of life of humans and wildlife. So, the first outcome of human and wildlife conflict are there is injury and loss of life of humans as well as wildlife. Second is crop damage, livestock depredation, predation of managed wildlife stock, damage to human property, trophic cascades, destruction of habitat, collapse of wildlife populations, and reduction of geographic ranges. Statistics released a week by Indian Environment Ministry count a total of 1,144 people killed between April 2014 and May of this year. The source is being provided. If you wish to have more number of or more detailed information, you may click on the link and you can access the data. So this image is very sufficient to explain the man and human conflict and what are the outcomes of the conflict. Similarly, this picture is also a very interesting picture which shows the interaction or the conflict between man and animals. What are the different ways to reduce conflict? Governments is working on improvement of habitat to augment food and water availability and to reduce training forest staff and police to tackle these situations and creating awareness among the people about the do's and don'ts to minimize conflicts, construction of boundary walls and solar fences around the sensitive area to prevent the wild animal attacks, some devices of information technology with radio collars with very high frequency global positioning system and satellite uplink facilities can be used to track the movement of wild animals. Endangered and extinct species. Due to the serious human activities, some of the animals have totally vanished, which are called the extinct species. Dodo, that is passenger pigeon, cheetah in India. Some of the species are present in so low in numbers which can become extinct are called endangered species. Asian elephants, gharial and peacock are the best examples of species which are endangered